Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Crimson Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Tropp, alongside Ben Balian, with our incredible guest today, Editor-in-Chief and Advisor of the Pinnacle, Avery Calulo. Mrs. Snyder, thank you so much for coming on today.
Of course.
Thanks for having us.
So the Pinnacle at BHS is the literary magazine, right? Kind of almost a sibling program to the Crimson newspaper, which we work for. So we wanted to highlight you guys and, get your word out there, help you guys out as publications of the school.
Amazing.
So thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right, let's get into some of the questions. Just start by breaking down what the process is of creating the Pinnacle, from submissions to deciding what goes in to laying it out and then eventually printing.
It's a long one.
I can take it from So we start off with, obviously, we get the staff, we get everyone collected in the beginning of the year. We decide who goes into what committee. So there's things like editing, there's things like layout, there's things like contests. But obviously, first thing is we need submissions. After we organize ourselves, we focus a lot on advertising. We try to get our name out there. We try to get the other students to feel comfortable submitting their work and all their talents, get them to show off a little bit, because then that again helps us with our magazine, makes us as a school look 10 times better. After we get a lot of submissions, we go through a big editing process, and almost simultaneously we go along with the layout process, right?
Yeah, editing hands off to layout.
Mm-hmm. So we get those submissions, and at the same time as we're editing them, trying to make them look as best as possible, we're also trying to lay it out in the magazine to make a format that's good enough for all of us. And then I think even simultaneously, contest goes with that.
Sure. Yeah, we love to submit our publications into contests, get us the recognition that our students deserve.
Do you want to name some? I mean, I think they're pretty prestigious.
Absolutely. Last year's magazine just won Superior for the National Council of Teachers of English Realm contest for their literary and art magazines. And we also just recently, for the first time last year, entered the Columbia Scholastic Press Association contest, and we won a gold award for that. So we're super proud of what we do. So it's a year-long process, from collecting submissions to tossing the ball then to the editing staff, who decides what goes in, how everything looks, and then layout kind of goes with the visuals. And then eventually we get it printed and we publish.
Yeah, so you're mentioning these submissions. What all can be submitted to it? I know it's a wide variety of things.
As it should be. This is a place where we showcase Bernards High School's creativity. So whereas, other types of publications we have are very much sort of news-oriented, this is where people can show off their art, their writing, which are, those are the two big buckets. But within those buckets, there's so much we can put in there. We've put QR codes to podcasts. We have put jewelry making in there, sculpture. People have submitted original recipes. This is where, as the name implies, this is where people get to shine and show off that, us Mounties, we've got a lot of great stuff going on, and we belong at the Pinnacle.
For sure. I think the most interesting I've seen is song lyrics.
Yes.
Song lyrics, just to any beat, the fact that a student can come up with such in-depth song lyrics, to me, is insane. And now just pairing that with something musical, which we could even put on a QR code.
Absolutely.
If need be. I think that's so creative, and that's just something that makes the Pinnacle so special and makes me so devoted to it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So devoted to it.
Yeah, we were talking about how it's a year-long process from the first day of school till the magazine eventually releases late in the year. How do you keep everyone on track, and what's the timeline of the Pinnacle?
For sure. So yes, we start off with organizing people, but then we have committee heads. They're the ones doing a lot of the work. They're the ones organizing meetings. Other than the meetings that we all meet together as an entire staff, we have those committee heads setting up meetings. For example, editing meets every B day. Mm-hmm. So usually at least once a week. We have now layout meeting once every week. So especially when by the time the new year rolls around every single school year, you have people working 10 times harder than they were before, and you really get the ball rolling. So everything happens almost simultaneously, like I said before, but it's really when that new year kicks in where everything starts to unfold and become what it it's supposed to be.
Generally, our submission deadline is around February 15th, though that's somewhat a loose deadline. We've had a few late submissions that are absolutely stunning and will go in the magazine regardless. But by the time I would say March rolls around is when editing and layout really, take the ball and run, and they work really hard to get it print ready by ideally May, which is when we'd like to have it released so that it's got a nice month there where people can really enjoy it before the next year begins.
Yeah, you mentioned the print side of it, but I know there's also a website, right?
Yes.
So everything that is submitted gets posted to the website, right? Or is it selected between what gets posted at all, right?
It's generally what goes in the physical copy of the magazine is what also gets posted on the website. Our web staff is fantastic in that they organize it in several different ways on the website. So you can find it based on the type of medium. You can find what you're looking for based on the individual. And you can actually look at the magazine as a whole. We do this flip book thing, which is really cool.
That's
so
awesome.
it's nice that, despite the fact that cost prohibits us from being able to print countless iterations of the physical magazine, it's nice that we can, show it to the world and show off the amazing creative things that Bernard's High students are doing.
And they make it look so good. I mean,
They
they make
do.
it look just as good as the magazine. We work so hard like designing the magazine. They do it just as well with the website online. I mean, it's amazing what they do.
Yeah, and it allows more people to access it,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And I
Absolutely.
think that's great. More people can see this work that's being put into, especially with budget and whatnot, not being able to print an issue for every student of the school. Everyone in Bernardsville, anybody can go to the website and take a look at what you guys are doing.
You can even look at past magazines, which
Yeah.
I'm also really impressed about. So like we're building on top of the work from previous committees, and it's just something stunning to look at and very impressive. Very impressive.
Avery, this one's for you. Why did you initially decide to join the Pinnacle, and why should other students maybe coming up that are going to be freshmen next year also decide to join the club?
That's a great question. I actually spoke on this in my editor-in-chief application. I was never a math person. Growing up, I was never a math person. I liked writing. I liked expressing myself a lot more, and by terms of writing, even art, even though I wasn't necessarily the best at it, I had a lot of fun doing art. But writing is where I really found my voice. And I saw that other kids had so many talents when it comes to math. And yes, it was like I didn't necessarily have those talents, but I could show myself off in a very, very different way. That is just as good as the way other students were showing off. So like I may not have been on a physics team but I can show off my talents writing in the magazine. And that's why I submitted my first year. That's why I'm continuing to submit all the way up to my senior year. That's why I encourage a lot of other people. I think that having a well-rounded base, especially finding yourself not only on the STEM side of things, but also yourself, because I feel like writing is kind of expressing yourself, getting to write, getting to just be able to speak better. It just creates a more well-rounded version of yourself, and you get to understand who you are better as a person, because at the end of the day, what you put on paper is kind of a reflection of you. And by writing more, by doing more art, you just get to understand yourself a little bit more as a person.
And you are an incredibly talented writer, by the
you.
way. I've read your
Yes,
stuff.
sir.
You've shown me stuff
I
even
appreciate
before it
that.
got
Thank
printed.
you.
Like, it is really good stuff, and I mean, it'd be a waste of talent not to submit that to something as awesome as the Pinnacle. So that is
Same
really
thing for
great.
other kids too. There are so many other kids that I'm sure would have do so well. They would have their pieces recognized so much by the contest, by the Pinnacle themselves. It's just the matter of submitting it and encouraging them to promote their talents and show it off as they so much deserve.
Yeah,
And
that's
Bernard's
great.
High School, I mean, what an amazing place to be and to work and to learn. But, we have a reputation of being this dynamite athletic institution. Obviously, academics are out of this world. And so it's so nice to kind of remind ourselves and remind each other that we are so talented in so many ways. And students who aren't a varsity athlete or who aren't in all AP classes, they still have amazing things to give to our school community. And it's so nice to be able to showcase those talents, those really unbelievable creative prospects that a lot of these students have.
Yeah. Mrs. Snyder, I think you kind of touched on what this next question is, but you're so involved in the school, right? You're advisors of all sorts of clubs. You do student council, garden club, Pinnacle, all sorts of things. But what specific about the Pinnacle makes you so excited to return year after year and helping, to advise it?
You are right. You touched on it, or I touched on it with the previous question. But yeah, it's just so nice to showcase what are so often, I find, hidden talents. You know, students are a little bit reluctant at first to submit their artwork or their photography or their writing or their song lyrics. But what a beautiful way to showcase who you are, right? I find the Pinnacle to feel almost like the soul of Bernard's High School, right? This is where we get to get a little bit mushy and have our feelings on display. And it's just so nice to feel like we're paying attention to the creative side of things as well. You know, sometimes we all put our noses to the grindstone, as they say, and, you know, we get tunnel vision and we work really hard and we want to get into college and do all the things. But ultimately, I think it's important for us to take a beat and acknowledge the things that give us passion and that make us happy. And I think the Pinnacle allows people to showcase that.
That was beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
All right, now we're going to get into our rapid fire segment. We've got around 10 rapid fire questions for the both of you. Answer them as quickly as possible. The first one is, what's your favorite food?
Tacos.
Lasagna.
Favorite hobby?
Playing video games.
Gardening.
Favorite thing to do outside of school?
Play baseball.
Gardening.
If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Invisibility.
Ooh, the ability to be in multiple places at one time.
Ooh, multitasker.
That's a good one.
That's good stuff.
Favorite musical artist?
Music artist. The Weeknd.
This is really obscure, but Coheed and Cambria, a favorite rock band from when I was young.
Okay, there we go. A little niche one there. All right. Favorite subject currently, favorite subject when you were in school?
History.
I think English is
It tracks,
an
yeah.
obvious answer. One would hope, right?
Favorite movie or TV show?
Oh, movie La La Land.
Ooh, my favorite show of late has been Superstore. I did a full binge of that one, and I love it.
Okay.
Niche polls.
Favorite book?
Oh, come on.
I know. I was writing that down. I'm
Can't
like, ooh, that's
do
going to be a
that
good one.
To me?
I guess To Kill a Mockingbird.
I was thinking about saying that one too, but also,
I learned a lot from you. You're the one that taught it, right? I learned a lot.
aw, Avery.
It was a good book.
Okay, I will concur now, only because Avery made me feel like I should. Like, obviously, it's making a difference, so we'll stick
All right.
with it.
That's great.
And the last one we got for you, if you could pick anyone dead or alive to have dinner with, who would it be?
That's a great question.
Brandon Boyd of Incubus,
Uh,
a singer and an
dang, I
artist.
was supposed to pick. Probably Michael Jackson.
Okay,
Ooh.
that's good.
Okay.
Michael Jackson. That's awesome. All right. Well, that's going to wrap up today's episode of the Crimson Podcast. Thank you guys so much for coming on. We really appreciate what you're doing at the Pinnacle and appreciate you coming on for this podcast. So thank you guys very much.
For sure. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
And for everyone else, we'll see you next time.